It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jen Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it's great to have you in studio today. Dan Sherry, Public Works Director for Yavapai County, is in studio along with Yavapai County Supervisor Tom Thurman. Welcome back.
Thanks, Paul.
It's been about a half year since you guys have been here. And last time you were here, we were talking about the Verde Connector project. We got some big news in December, so when I saw that, Dave McAdee sent me the press release. I thought, you know what? Time to get you guys back in here for an update on this, because it's kind of a, I don't want to say it's a fast track project that has to be done, but there are some deadlines, and we'll get into those in the show. But who wants to jump in and talk about the good news we got in December?
Well, I can start with it. Again, there was multiple projects for years in the Verde Valley on how to fix traffic in the future in the Verde. We know that Cornville Road is already failing. Because we probably partly because of 260 under construction, but now that it's even finished, it's still very, very crowded, and we're showing it as failing in the next 5 years. Now, failing now, which means that it's a bottleneck, and so it's going to be really tough for people to get in and around, and from Cornville into Cottonwood or Point Southers. So you look at I-17 going through Camp Verde. And you look at Mingus Avenue Bridge, and you look at the bridge here in Bridgeport in Cottonwood. Those are the only crossings we have of the Verde River. There's nothing in between. Yeah. And so all these different research programs said that we got to have one in between somewhere. Something happens also on 179 going into Sedona. You know what that means, and that's backing up. The same thing here. It's a bit of a bottleneck here in Cottonwood too. By the Black Bear Cafe, and so we got to fix something. So we lucked out. There was a chance of some money coming in the old days. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which was ERA grants, were available for road projects, and they switched those to Tiger grants. I think every presidency they have a new acronym. Yeah. Now they have build grants. Okay. And there was 11 of these build grants available for the state of Arizona, or 11 of us put in for the build grants. Oh, okay. I mean, even Maricopa County put in for a couple of them, and Yavapai County was the only one to get it.
Who did the grant? Because someone's got to write the grant. I mean, there's actually a job, right, for grant writing? And are you a grant writer, Dan?
Yeah, I am not. Okay. That was a significant undertaking, and not only was it significant, but we had a very short amount of time to do it. And we happened to have this Verde Connect project underway. The consultant we had on board was Jacobs, which is our engineering consultant, and they had some excellent grant writers on staff that we said, okay, let's shift gears, put together this application as soon as the window opened up for applications. I mean, we literally did it in a month to a month and a half.
Oh, wow, okay.
And submitted it, and then it was just kind of crossing fingers. But what we wrote the grant for, just so the public is clear, is that it's often nice if they have a specific part of a project that the U.S. Department of Transportation can point at and say, well, we paid for that. And so we identified that the need for a bridge was specific enough that then the county would build the approaches on either end, have connectivity to something, and so the grant is really dedicated strictly for the cost of the bridge over the Verde River. Oh, wow. And then the county is, at least in the grant application, proposed to fund connectivity either to Middle Verde or maybe to Beaverhead Flat, and then it'll go over to Highway 260 as well. So.
Now, is this going to be a two-lane road like Cornville Road is right now, or most of the roads here? Or are we going to shoot for a larger road?
No, it's to start, to be honest with you, it will be a two-lane.
Okay, okay.
And, but we'll have enough right-of-way that someday, if it needed to be four, it can be done, and the bridge will be built to accommodate that. So also the bridge is going to have a little side thing on it for multimodal, and what I mean by that is like if there's a quad trail that goes through, or bicycles, hikers, equestrian, things like that, so we keep them off the roadway on the bridge and off to the side. And so part of that is the Black Canyon National Recreation Trail / Sheep Driveway. That's coming down Grief Hill and then heading over to Hayfield Draw, where the ATV place is.
Okay.
One of those larger bridges that on 260, it's got to be tall enough underneath for a culvert to walk a horse. And horses freak out if they got to bend over or something. And so there's only a couple of those crossings available. So that trail is going to have to come through underneath one of those, and then hop over to wherever the bridge is going, and then we continue on. That goes on up to Flagstaff. And so everything here is a plus, plus, plus. Now, saying what neighborhood is going to be bought out and we're going to eminent domain things, I am not doing that, and I can tell the public that right now.
Those big concerns?
Those are all big concerns for folks in the middle of Verde, that we're going to go right through their neighborhoods. They're going to have this freeway in their backyard, kind of like South Mountain is.
I was going to ask you about
right
that, because I could see that's where this could go.
It's very contentious.
Whose backyard is this road and bridge going to go through?
So it's not going to go through any of them.
Okay. There's plenty of open space out there to be able to do something like that, huh?
Absolutely. I don't need to go through somebody's neighborhood. So.
Now, are we still looking at connecting from 260 to Cornville Road?
Ultimately, that's the preference, and the determination as to whether that would all be done in one phase or whether there'd be a two-phase approach where you'd have first phase to Middle Verde and then another segment to Cornville Road, or if it would be all done at once. And that may come down to dollars and what our options are, but when we are a little farther along and know really what some detailed costs are for connecting all the way to Cornville, it'd probably be smart to do it all at once, even if we need to, borrow a little money from the county or bond or something like that. You can probably save a lot of money by doing it all up front. So.
And road work isn't getting cheaper. It's just
it's
more
certainly
expensive every year. I mean, the bridge, the grant you received was $25 million. Is that the true price tag of a bridge these days, or is that a little low? It seems kind of low to me, actually.
If anything, we think it's right in the right ballpark, but it's going to depend a lot on where the bridge is, because a longer bridge costs more, a shorter bridge costs less. And we're going through the selection process as to where that corridor for this roadway would actually be. We have a whole technical advisory committee set up as part of the study that's ongoing, that includes all the communities in the Verde Valley. It includes the nation, the Yavapai Apache Nation. It includes the Forest Service. So we have all the players at the table that will then apply a bunch of criteria to different corridors and make a selection or a recommendation for that, and then go back out through a kind of a public information process.
So we're going to do that again in February.
Right.
We had earlier ones a couple months ago. We did all of those this fall, and I think Jacobs Engineering came up with 11 different routes, and now they've narrowed that down because some of them are just not feasible. And me saying I'm not going to buy out any and bring a road through anybody's neighborhood, that eliminated a few more. So I think they're down to 4 or 5 right now, and so we're going to do another round of community meetings.
Can we take a break and come back and start right there? Because I know that's the part that a lot of folks are going to want to jump into and see the diagram stuff. And that's when I would like to have you guys come back in too and have them up, and so we can talk about them a little bit more. Yavapai County Supervisor Tom Thurman and Public Works Director Dan Cherry in studio today. Stick around, Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
How I define making? In the broadest possible terms, it is making something extant in the world that didn't exist. Everybody who's ever made anything is bringing something into fruition for a reason, and that act in and of itself makes us stewards of our culture. It's something that we're talking about. It's a response. Actually, it's telling a story. That's really what it is. And I include everything that could be made: painting, sculpture, welding, all of that.
Yellow is positive.
When a kid gets their hands on the world and learns that they can make their fantasy play, that they can make their reality, that's power. And as far as I'm concerned, Everyone should feel that kind of power. There we go. If there's something that interests you to bring into the world, that's fantastic. Go figure out how to do it. Go tell your own story. There it is. And so I want to know why you make. Let's go.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Welcome back to Countywide. If you want more information about this Verde Connect project too, the latest information is on the county's website. This is where I pulled this from, and then like I said, Dave McAtee sent this to me too. Just go to yavapai.us. It's right there on the main page, right in the middle. It's really easy to find, so you can get all this information right there. We were talking about public meetings, so we've got a group now that has narrowed this down to 4 to 5 routes that look acceptable at this point in time.
That's correct.
So what do we do now? What's the next stage?
Well, a couple of the routes don't even connect to Middle Verde Road, and so and some people like that, some people don't.
Where do they connect?
They go straight through out on forest land and never connect to Middle Verde. Middle Verde dead ends, and so this is actually stays up in the hills behind it, and we wouldn't even have to connect to it if we didn't want to. But that's one of the reasons we were doing this. One is for connectivity and a bridge across the river for the Verde in the future. But one of the other is that Middle Verde is tough. Emergency services, people that work in Cottonwood, it's a long ways around. The tribal folks, they can't even go across the river to the other side where they have housing. Without going all the way, spend 20-minute drive to go all the way around. It really needs to connect to Middle Verde Road.
The other thing that probably made this project with the grant looking pretty good too was that if for some reason I-17 gets shut down in that area, this could become an alternate route to kind of bypass that chunk of I-17. I think you brought that up last time you were here.
Or here in Cottonwood too.
Right,
Yes.
right. For the whole Verde Valley to be able to get around that
anything
mess
on 89A on its route to Sedona. That blocks off. As you see now, thankfully, the ADOT did what they said they were going to do, and we pushed them hard. Thank you, Dan. Is on getting minutes. How many minutes when you come down Copper Hill on I-17? How many minutes is to Sedona on 260, or how many minutes is it to Sedona on 179?
You had a play in that, Dan?
Well, we certainly,
because that is nice to see that. Yeah. It is really nice to see that. We're talking about the overhead signs over I-17 that ADOT put up. They've always got some catchy stuff for the holidays and things like that, or buckle up or whatever it is. But lately, if you haven't noticed it, it'll say Highway 179, 34 minutes. You know, and it actually tells you how long it's going to take you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's certainly not just the county, but there's obviously a significant traffic problem in Sedona, especially on weekends. And so anything we can do to help split traffic and get it into Sedona sees benefit for not just the county, but for ADOT, for Coconino County as well.
I think some of us feel like we get forgotten up here. You know, when you pass Phoenix, there's just no more. There's no more state. There's an awful lot of us up here that that's a great help. I think that's a huge help.
And another one is this lane that they want to put in, this reversible lane on the hill from Black Canyon City to Sunset Point. I was at a transportation meeting on Friday down in Phoenix at the Biltmore with the governor and a bunch of other people, and Senator Karen Fann, the Speaker of the House. And I'm going to tell you that they are so concerned about I-17, they're probably looking at this year putting some funds specific to that project. I have a little concern about taking or usurping the authority of the ADOT Transportation Board, but I do like it if they do a project. This project is guesstimated right now at around $125 million to put that reversible lane in. I'm guessing the engineers are probably a little low on that today. It's probably more like 150. They seem to be 10 to 20% off lately, but that's got to get done. That is a lifeline for Maricopa County, from points north, and from all of us to get down to Maricopa County for one reason or another. And so I think they realize that. They're too big concerns on is that and I-10 between Phoenix and Tucson. And that's another mess. And so I was happy to see right now they're prioritizing I-17 over the I-10 part.
Well, we've seen that one clog up every single week.
Well,
northbound Friday, southbound Sunday.
Without an accident.
You can almost roll dice. It's just, okay, you could do a bet on what time it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be. Let's go back to the Verde Connect project. Now, we are going to have some public meetings. You were kind of hinting at that
absolutely.
Before we took a break.
In February. I don't think we picked a date.
So with this build grant, it kind of changes the rules a little bit as far as what we have to do, because now we have federal dollars pouring in for this project.
You have deadlines.
$25 million, okay? We've got deadlines and we have requirements that have to be met as far as the NEPA process. And so, well, actually I have staff meeting with the Federal Highways Administration down in Phoenix today to talk about what public meetings we've done already, what would be required going forward. And so really we're waiting on a little feedback from Federal Highways before we schedule our meetings, but we're looking at late February to probably have the next round and share with the public what we've done since last fall when we had our first round of public meetings.
Gotcha. Okay, and then once we decide which route we're going to do, there's a huge government process. There's the environmental assessment that has to be done, and that can be really time. But it can't take too long, because
yeah, that's correct.
I was looking at this, and it looks to me like, where was it now?
We have a deadline of September 20.
Yeah, Yavapai would require to have funding obligated by September 30th, 2020, which meet full environmental clearance, NEPA, and then the grant requires that all funds be fully expended by September 30th, 2025. So all this is just around the corner. So
6 years to be completed.
Yeah.
So how long does an environmental process take, though, an assessment?
Well, it can vary.
On the Verde River?
It's certainly something that we are shifting into high gear on, because we recognize that we really have roughly just over a year to get the environmental work done, and which involves the Forest Service. It involves other governmental agencies like U.S. Fish and Wildlife, that we need to make sure we're jumping through all the correct hoops to get this obligation taken care of prior to September of 2020.
Because I remember when the Mingus extension went in, that was quite a process.
And
I remember they had a guy in a lawn chair downriver from that construction site the whole time watching for any dead fish that might go by, and then he had to log what fish those were.
And we had to buy a bunch of land up to plant the endangered cliff rose.
Right, the endangered cliff rose was another thing.
And that's part of the exchange that we're wanting to do with the National Forest for the 80 acres that they own that is surrounded by private land in Cornville. Because we have a park now, everybody thinks our Windmill Park, which is a gorgeous park, thanks to Chip Davis for years on getting that done, and it is. And so, but most folks think, well, we can go to the park and go down the Oak Creek. You really can't. It's Forest Service land that you're not supposed to be doing that without permissions. Yeah, and so we want that 80 acres. And so a lot of the trail system that we have coming here, we have a trail now that goes through Cottonwood, goes up to Zaleski, just right near here, your building. And then from there it goes up to Tissau, and now we have this last leg from Tissau. We're going to be dropping into Windmill Park. And so we're going to have a great trail system between Cornville and Cottonwood. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is a lot of things happening in this county that are great for the Verde Valley. It's great for tourism. It's green dollars. I know a lot of folks don't like tourists around here. I'm here now. Everybody else go home. But on the flip side, we could take that back all the way to the Native American. So this is a free country. I believe in the Constitution, and we should be using all this government land to the best advantage that we can and keep it safe. As Dan was alluding to, we have NEPA processes on all of these. I can't put in a single trail, just a foot-wide trail, without doing some environmental assessments. And so we're being watched on everything we do. And so this bridge going in, if we can get it to where, you see where the historic sheep would cross the river, it was because it was wide there by 1,000 trails, and so it was very shallow, so it was easy for the sheep and everybody to go through. What we would like to do is have a hill on both sides and get the bridge as short as possible.
Sure.
But with EPA, FEMA, Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife, game and fish. I mean, the national forest on both sides. One side of the river, if folks don't know, is one side is Prescott National Forest, the other side is the Coconino. We got to satisfy all that also. So it's to do all this in 1 year. My hat's off to them.
It'll be a challenge. Okay, we got to take another break. Okay, Supervisor Tom Thurman in studio today, as well as Public Works Director Jan Cherry. We're talking about the Verde Connect project and a few other things in between. Stick around. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Welcome back to Countywide. Just about a minute and a half left of the program. Real quick, Dan wants to make sure everybody knows that there is a website you can go to for more information about this project and to keep track of the project as well. It's verdeconnect.com. Pretty simple. And you can also sign up to, is it a newsletter or just as the updates come in, you get notified?
You can get electronic updates as there's changes made to the website. You'll be notified or that sort of thing. So.
Okay. All right, so verdeconnect.com. Or you can go again, you can just go to yavapai.us as well and find at least this information I received in early December on there. And then sign up on verdeconnect.com. I'm going to do that too, just to make sure I'm kept track of it. And you guys will keep me track of it as well.
And we'll keep you in track, keep in touch with us, and then we'll also do all the newspapers and everybody in radio that we can when these meetings, this next group of meetings.
Yeah, when we nail down specific times and dates for the next round of public meetings, we will definitely, Kristen Dar will be reaching out to you in addition to
David McAtee.
As well as the full flight of public information with newspaper publishings and all that. So.
Would it be doable when the 4 or 5 options are available to come in and actually put them up on screen?
Sure.
And talk about those and say, okay, this is where this one is, this is where this one is. All right, we could do something like that. That would really be very informative.
And some people, they get gripey and they say, you're going to do it and put it wherever you want anyway. That's not true. We've used the input that we've gotten from the earlier meetings. We'll use the input again from these. We are not going to do something that is going to harm anybody's property value. I'm going to tell you that right now.
All right, Supervisor Thurman, always good to see you.
Nice to see you,
I need to keep having you come in on your own and talk about just, like you talked about the trails, you talked about Beasley Flats. We've only got like 10 seconds left here, so we don't have time. But Cottonwood Trail System, jail, Beasley Flat. I should actually have you come in and just do a show all by yourself.
I can do that.
All right, Dan, it was great seeing you. Thanks so much for coming in. That's today's Countywide. Again, yavapai.us or verdeconnect.com. That's Countywide. Thanks for watching, listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.